The QX60 is a mid-size luxury crossover, a 3-row SUV, great for families. In 2022, the QX60 had a comprehensive redesign. For 2023, they build upon its appeal with an addition of Infiniti Premium Care. And I've driven quite a few QX60s in the past couple of years, including the 2022 QX60 Autograph, essentially the same exact vehicle that I'm driving here. That one was a 2022, this one was 2023. There's not really much difference, but we're gonna go through everything that we have here, and there is one sort of big difference in this vehicle particular that I will jump on, so we'll get into that. But let's start off by talking about the trims, and then we'll talk about the redesign. And just like the previous year, the 2022, there are 4 trims available. You have the Pure, the Luxe, the Sensory, and the Autograph. All of those are offered in both front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And like I said, this one is the Autograph, so it's the top of the line. We did also just review the Sensory all-wheel drive 2023. If you're interested in that, I'll leave it down in the description or an iCard or something. But let's go ahead and jump into the exterior and start looking at the design here. All right, and looking at this one, the exterior design, again, this is essentially the same as the 2022 that I drove and reviewed last year. It does have the same two-tone warm titanium and black obsidian paint. We have those signature LED headlights with the adaptive lighting system. We have the intelligent key with remote start. You have slim roof rails, and we have power folding, heated, auto dimming outside mirrors. In the rear, these taillights are LED. You've got the QX60 badge, you've got the all-wheel drive badge, and of course the Infiniti nameplate. And looking at the wheels here, they are the same two-tone 20-inch wheels, custom for the Autograph trim. What's different here are these tires. These are Bridgestone tires, 255 50 R20s, and they are pretty beefy, much more beefy than the tires that normally come on this. These aren't factory tires, and it's the first thing I noticed when Infiniti drove this thing up to the office. I asked them about it, and they said it was entered into an off-road event, and they put these tires on it because of that, which makes a ton of sense because these things are beefy and will make this thing much more suitable for off-road. We'll talk more about that as we drive, but I did want to mention these things. These are not the stock tires, but they're super nice on this thing. All right, let's wrap up the exterior talking about the dimensions here. Our wheelbase is 114.2 inches. Total length is 198.2 inches. Width is 86 inches. Height is 69.7 inches. And it has a 6.7 inch ground clearance. All right, and with all of that, let's take a look at the rear hatch and the cargo volume. It is a motion activated rear liftgate, so you just swipe your leg, get a couple of beeps, it pops open, and you can see behind that third row seating, you got 14.5 cubic feet of cargo volume. Not a ton for a 3-row SUV. Of course, this is still a mid-size SUV, not a full size, so you're compromising a bit, although for a mid-size SUV, that is a decent amount of space behind the third row. You can obviously fold that third row down, get 41.6 cubic feet, or fold both the third row and second row down and get a total cargo volume of 75.4 cubic feet. And here in the Autograph, you do have power folding rear seats, so you got buttons back here to power fold them. You also have extra cubby storage down below this floor, and back here on these metallic pieces, you do have LED lighting, and you've got a light up here as well, so at nighttime you can see what's going on back here. But with that, let's go ahead and close this up, and we'll talk about the engine under the hood. All right, and if you're familiar with any of the QX60s of late, the engine will be no surprise to you here. It's the same no matter what trim you get. This is the 3.5 liter V6 engine connected to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Thank goodness it's got that automatic transmission and not the CVT that we had in the previous generation. But you're looking at 295 horsepower, 270 pound-feet of torque. We're obviously rocking the intelligent all-wheel drive system from Infiniti, which is super good, and we'll talk more about as we drive it. Towing capacity is 3,500 pounds. You can get a towing package that allows that to be up to 6,000 pounds. Again, we'll talk about as we drive it, but before we can drive it, let's take a look at the interior, starting with the back seats. All right, and one of the things that makes us such a great family 3-row SUV is the fact that it's so easy to get in and out of the third row. Some vehicles make this way harder than it should be, but in this, all you do is push a button back here on the back of the seat. It folds forward, and now you have good access to the third row. Lots of room here. But our focus here is going to be on this middle row, not the third row. So the third row in here is decent. Again, it's a mid-size crossover, not a full size, so you're not getting a ton of space back there. But with these seats pushed forward a bit, you get more room back there. And if this driver's seat wasn't pushed back so much, the passenger still gets a good amount of room. So I can go up and get decent amount of knee room still, foot room. Headroom's a bit tight in here for me. I'm 6'1", a bit bigger of a guy, but we have the kids in here. They do complain about being in the third row. They're getting bigger too. My youngest is 12, and he's already pretty tall, but he did ride back there without too much complaint. Here in the second row, it's really good, especially if you have nobody back there to worry about. Now your knee room is really great. In this, the Autograph, we do have the center console here, so it's not a bench. So you can't go 3 wide back here, which makes this a 6-seater, not a 7-seater, because that third row seating is just 2. But we've got cup holders and a cubby here. We've got our own AC and heat controls, our own USB charging ports, and a 120 volt house type plug. All really great, but nothing's really changed since the previous year. Let's go ahead and jump into the driver's seat. Check that out, then we'll take it for a drive. All right, and the interior in here, again, same exact interior that we had with the 2022. Nice quilted leather, really just beautiful all around. You've got the Autograph nameplate here embroidered in the seat, or stamped into the seat leather. You've got the ash wood that looks really great. Let me go ahead and pick you up, give you a quick look around, and we'll get this thing out on the road. All right, and let's go ahead and kick this sucker on. Push button start. Everything kind of moves into place. Seat pushes up, steering wheel gets into place. You can see the 12.3-inch interactive display. I've touched on this quite a bit since the 2022 came out. I do like that they did one large widescreen display over the dual stack displays. I think their UX design is lacking for a luxury brand, but hopefully that's something that they will work on fixing for the future. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We do have a USB Type-C and a USB Type-A charging port down there. Both of those interact with the infotainment system, so you can plug in and get wired CarPlay also. This pad right here is a wireless charging pad, so you can throw your phone down there, be wirelessly connected and wirelessly charging. I prefer the wire still, at least with the Apple ecosystem. You get a nice cup holder, drive mode select right here, turning off the automatic start stop feature, electronic parking brake and auto hold feature, interface for your infotainment system, plus a button here for your 360 camera, which is a nice camera, nice and big on the screen. We do have that electronic gear shifter. And obviously putting into reverse, we still get that 360 camera and our backup camera. Cubby is nice and soft, decent size down there. We do have the Bose Performance 17 speaker audio system, always nice. We have our big gloss black array of touch capacitive buttons. Again, same that we've seen throughout the last year on this. We do have the heated seats and cooled seats. heated steering wheel, and all the buttons you would expect to have there. These seats are also massage seats, and the button for that is on the actual seat itself. And that's both driver and passenger seats. Super nice to have, especially at this price point. Turn that heated seat on, turn the massager on, good to go. All right, moving on to the steering wheel. Nice, good size steering wheel. A little bit of a flat bottom, which is good for getting in and out. Again, when you turn the car off, it pushes it back and out of your way, so it makes it easier to get in and out. You've got all the buttons that you would expect, including all your safety and auto features. Back behind the steering wheel is another 12.3-inch display for your gauge cluster and driver information screen. All really good, easy to read, and does a decent job at getting you the information that you want. And then beyond that driver information display, we do have a 10.8-inch head-up display. And if you know me, I love head-up displays. I like having it in this QX60, and it does a fantastic job. Another feature I appreciate having is the rear view mirror. Using the backup camera here, you can flip it and still use the rear view mirror or use the backup camera. I like this myself. I did think it was gimmicky at first when manufacturers started to put these, but I do quite like them now. All right, and with that, that wraps the interior portion. I try to go quickly through it because, again, I've seen this same interior in another vehicle and a lot of the same features in a couple of different QX60s that we've driven throughout the last 2 years. So if there's something I didn't touch on that you wanted to see, you might check out one of those videos because I probably covered it there, or you can leave me a comment down below and I'll try to answer any questions that you have that I might have skipped over. But I'm ready to get this thing out on the road. Let's do it. All right, guys, let's get this thing in gear and get out on the road. First thing to notice, super quiet interior, nice and smooth driving. Even with those more beefy wheels, this thing is super smooth out on the road. I do quite enjoy it. And if it was up to me, now that I've driven this thing with those tires on it, I would prefer them. Again, we have that nice V6 engine with a proper automatic transmission in here. No CVT, so you do get more of a sporty-ish feel, less of a long droney feel. You do have a sport mode, which is a bit ridiculous in this thing. I didn't use it throughout the whole week, but you can throw it into sport mode, and after some very long hesitation, it'll get up and go, sound a little bit better, be a little bit more responsive. Again, not super critical in something like this. I leave it in auto or even eco mode is nice in this thing. You can personalize it and have a personal mode, but the auto mode or eco mode are just fine for normal everyday driving. Even in eco mode, if you need to get up on the highway quickly or pass somebody, you can just put your foot down and it will respond. Again, some of my favorite features of driving this, especially the Autograph, is that big head-up display. Super nice to have, I think. My wife doesn't like it. She thinks it's too distracting, but I love having a head-up display. Heated, ventilated, massaging seats, big plus in my book, especially if you're already going to the top of the line trim. Being able to have the really nice features like that, I think is great. I said it in the other reviews too. I do like the layout of this interior much better than the previous one. I like the screen where it's at. Steering position feels really good. Seats are super comfortable. If you've seen any of my reviews on the QX80, every time I drive it, I complain about the seats. These things have no complaints about. They're super comfortable. Doing stuff like hooking up the wireless CarPlay or even wired CarPlay, having the wireless charger, having somewhere to put your phone, to put your wallet. All of that is nice and ergonomically done in this vehicle. If you wanted to use this thing to haul a trailer or a boat or some camping gear, again, you can get this all-wheel drive with the towing package and get up to 6,000 pounds of towing. I haven't towed with it, but have no doubt that it would do just fine with the amount of power that it has here. Your fuel economy is 21 miles per gallon city, 26 on the highway in the front-wheel drive. This one, the all-wheel drive, is 20 miles per gallon city, 25 highway, so you do get knocked mile per gallon for getting the all-wheel drive, which will probably make no difference. During the full week of me driving this thing, I've averaged about 19 miles to the gallon. I've done mostly city driving or suburb driving. We also let it idle as we're doing video and photos and stuff like that sometimes, but that's more of a real world figure that you could expect. One of the great features in this that I kind of already alluded to, and it's obviously not just in this, but a lot of the Infinitis, is the Pro Pilot feature. I think Nissan and Infiniti, which share this technology, do a great job at this. Having the radar guided cruise control, the lane keeping assist, and it's one of the better systems out there. It uses the navigation to help you. It uses street signs. If you pass into a zone with a slower speed, it will slow you down automatically. If you go into a zone with higher speed, it can speed you up automatically. It's a really great system, and there's only a few that I would say compete with it, and only one that obviously does better than this. One of the things I haven't been able to do in the QX60 that I really want to do is take it off-road. Again, this thing has those more beefy tires. It really makes me want to take this thing off-road. I have had the Nissan Pathfinder off-road, and it does really great. And of course, this Infiniti QX60 is built on the same platform as that, so its all-wheel drive system is shared. So I have no doubt that this thing can be beastly off-road, even though I haven't had the opportunity to take it, which makes sense of why they've got the beefy tires on this, and it was at an off-road event, because you might not think it, but this thing will handle itself well off-road. And saying that, obviously, it's no rock crawler, it's not a Jeep competitor or a 4Runner competitor, but if you're trying to get to a campsite or a little bit off-road trail, this thing will impress you on how well it will do. Now, price-wise, this actually has jumped up a bit in price over the 2022 that we drove. So the base pure trim has a starting MSRP of just over $49,000. I believe that used to be around $45,000 to $46,000. The Autograph that we're in here with all-wheel drive bases at $65,500, and the MSRP of what we're driving here is $68,165. And again, we drove basically the same vehicle last year, the 2022, and it was a few grand cheaper with all the same stuff. So chalk that up to inflation or whatever for 2023, but that's the reality. With that, I think it's time to go back, find another parking spot, and we'll wrap up the video with some of my final thoughts there. Let's get into it. All right, guys, and with that, let's wrap it up on some final thoughts. Like I say, with all of the QX60 that I drive, no matter what trim they are, I think they're great vehicles for families looking to get into something 3-row that's also a bit luxurious. It's not the best 3-row that you can get. The cargo volume is a bit tight, but it is a mid-size SUV, not a full size. If you want the best bang for your buck when it comes to a 3-row SUV for a family, the Volkswagen Atlas, I think, is still up there. The Kia Telluride and Hyundai Palisade are both great options as well, but those don't really directly compete with this thing, not on price and not on luxury, although you can get pretty close. I quite like the QX60. I definitely like having the tire option that we have here, especially if you're considering doing any kind of off-roading. It makes a ton of sense, and like we talked about, this thing can do some off-roading, so it makes a ton of sense. If you were ever going to take this thing on a trail, I would definitely recommend it over a lot of the competitors. But with that, thank you for getting to this point in the video, mainly because I've done so many QX60 reviews. You guys are probably tired of seeing them. I know I'm kind of tired of reviewing them. Again, not much has changed since the one that we drove in 2022, which is basically the exact same vehicle here. Infiniti does have that new care package, which is great. The pricing on this is more expensive than the 2022 was, but driving it over and over doesn't really change my opinion of it. I do really like it and would definitely recommend it if you're in the market. With that, again, thanks for checking out the video. Thanks for sticking with it this far. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week, including lots of Infinitis. Also check out txgarage.com, where we've got a lot of written reviews as well as event and news coverage over there from a lot of great authors, not just myself. But with that, thanks for watching.